Redragon's keyboards always seem to find a great balance between quality and pricing while still offering a ton of features that are packed into their boards. That's definitely no exception with today's offering of the K599, also referred to as Deimos or Deimos. Not super sure how to say that. Let me know in the comments down below. In the box, you're of course going to find your keyboard itself, and that's already going to have that dongle stored in the back of it with a USB-C to USB-A cable included, and then some extra switches, a keycap and switch puller included as well, because it does have that hot swap functionality. The build on the K599 is all plastic, but as I've come accustomed to with Redragon keyboards, they're just super solid. It has a thicker plastic housing as well as that plastic backplate, and even when trying to bend on this thing, it's not going anywhere. So even if you want to break this thing, it's definitely going to give you some trouble. Also gives it a heavier feel in hand, a nicer quality feel for especially where the price point sits at on this board. Along with that, it also does help that's in that smaller format of 70%, which for me personally, I find that to be a great sweet spot, because you're going to get things included that you wouldn't on a 60% keyboard, things like your arrow keys, which I love having access to those, as well as some other keys on the side there, like your insert and delete, but you're not going to have all that extra stuff that I never use on a full-size keyboard, like your number pad. So a great in between there, and for me, that's also a big draw point of the board. Taking a look at the bottom of the board, you are going to get 4 rubber feet, with 2 of those being the bottom of your 2 flip-out legs, which can be put down for just 1 level of incline adjustment for those of you that prefer to get into that slightly more ergonomic position. Then you're also going to get a spot down here to store your dongle for the board, so if you want to take it to travel with, you have a spot to put it. You get 2 options for connectivity on the K599, which can either be using the dongle for that 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection, or with that USB-C to USB-A cable, which is plugged in on the left side. And as I mentioned before with my Redragon keyboard reviews, I'd like to see that port maybe just get moved to the back. For me personally, my computer's on the right side, so if I have a port on the left, to have it coming out, wrapping around the board, and then going over to it, especially when you're using a cable like they do include, which is a thicker rubber one, not super flexible. I just don't like the look of it. It'd be more aesthetically pleasing if it was in the back of the board. But of course, you don't have to use it wired. You get the option of the wireless connectivity. So all you have to do, plug this into your computer, it'll pair up seamlessly, and then slide that switch over for the wireless mode, and it will connect right up for you. So the only time you need to really have it plugged in is when you're charging it. At the bottom on the left side of the keyboard, you're gonna get a light there, and that light shows you your status of your battery. And the board itself takes around 10 hours to charge and will last you anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 days. And that's gonna depend on how much of that RGB light you're gonna use, because that's gonna drain your battery faster. The RGB lighting can be controlled from the keyboard itself, and from that you can control things like lighting effects, adjust the brightness, increase or decrease lighting speed, as well as just turning the RGB completely off if you prefer. There are 18 different backlit effects to choose from, as well as 8 different color options in a customizable mode for changing the lighting color of each key. So the lighting definitely has good brightness, but it is going to be brighter when you have it actually wired versus wireless. For their keycaps, they are using a double shot ABS, and I love how Redragon does it. They have it so the legends aren't ever going to start fading, because they are in between those layers of plastic there, and they also have a nice amount of gritty texture on it. I think that for the price point and ABS keycaps, I think Redragon definitely excels above a lot of the competition in its same price point range. The board itself does have hot swap sockets, 3-pin, which is really cool to see for the price point where this board sits at. Really nice feature to have included. It is only going to work for Altimu switches, as they are Altimu hot swap sockets, so you're not going to be able to just pop any switch that you want to in here, but it gives you the option, if you want to use some of the other Altimu switch options. And for the ones included in this board though, they are going to be red linear, so a nice feeling similar to a Cherry MX Red if you've used one of those, but a nice linear smooth response. Here's a quick sound test for you. You can pick up the K599 for just $56, and I'll have that link in the description down below if you guys want to check that out. In my eyes, I think that's a great price point for it to sit at. You get a lot of stuff packed into this board, and as we're kind of used to with Redragon boards, you're going to get a lot of options that maybe you wouldn't expect to see at this lower price point. Things like hot swap functionality, the ability to go into wireless. Granted, it's not a super long battery life there, but again, cheaper price point, I can't really complain about that. And as well as that, you're going to get pretty good quality switches and keycaps for that price point. So overall, a really well-rounded, quality overall, as well as a nice build quality on it. It feels really solid in the hands. And for the layout size of it and everything, 70%, I think that's gonna appeal to a lot of people. So if you're in the market for a keyboard and you don't wanna splurge maybe on some of those more expensive options, I definitely can recommend the K599. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Definitely check out some of these other keyboard reviews that are on the screen right now if you wanna consider some other options.